Hello and welcome to this week's Scriptcase video. My name is Jamie and I am your host today. Today's topic is called the Simplicities of Scriptcase. And well, you may be wondering, why is that? And what is so simple in Scriptcase? And of course, we are going to cover that in a few moments. But first, let me tell you why. So not so long ago, one of the many clients that we have contacted me and told me that the majority of our projects are always so complex and difficult. Well, today I thought I would create a simple video, what the simplicities of Scriptcase are. So let's dive in, shall we? So here in Scriptcase, one of the easiest things that you can do starting off with in Scriptcase is creating your project and also having some kind of plan around it. So let's start there, shall we? I will start by creating a new project and choose to create a blank project. I can add any type of icon in here, and if I want to add images, I can add them there also. I can give it a name, a description, any project information. For now, I'm just going to go ahead and go next. Now, if I don't know anything about databases, then you can use here the sample SQLite database. However, I would definitely recommend, as a minimum, MySQL. It is quite easy to use, and if you check over on my channel, Scriptcase by Jamie, for sure soon there will be a video on designing your own database tables, really. Just putting them together for MySQL so that you can start creating your projects. But that is pretty much where you want to start. Once you have your database defined, whether that be in Access, in MySQL, or even Amazon or Azure, wherever you like, you have your details captured and so forth. See, that might be more difficult than everything else you have to do within Scriptcase. But for now, let's continue. So I will start by creating a sample database and let Scriptcase create a database for me. Now I need to change here the language. So let me change that to English. There we go, up here somewhere. There we go. And I will change to United Kingdom. And character set I'll leave as UTF-8, and I can go next. So you may have noticed there, let me go back actually. You may have noticed right here, I can add multiple languages. Now that's generally quite difficult to apply. You can do that with a few clicks within Scriptcase. It's very easy. All you have to do is just add more languages as and when you please. And then within the Scriptcase environment, you can go ahead and make adjustments to those languages. And it's all very easy, or simple, or simplistic, should I say. But okay, let's continue for now. Let's go next. Okay, so within Scriptcase, another simple thing to apply is, of course, themes. We can apply any type of theme that we want, that we have available here within Scriptcase. And we can also use some of the older versions. Now, even so they are older, some of them may be a little more down your alley, and you may prefer that type of style. Use it as a template. You don't have to go with the entire theme that you have there. You can make adjustments. And again, within Scriptcase, that is quite easy to achieve. So let's go ahead and let's apply 2 or 3 themes here. So we have the blueberry theme, we have also the guava theme, and the lemon theme. And we have now 3 themes all combined within this project. And if I go create, Scriptcase will now start to create my applications, or allow me to create the applications. And again, this is where Scriptcase makes it simple for us. It generates a CRUD application, or should I say, create, read, update, and delete application. And they are fully featured, okay? They have so many options and settings, and you can change options, and you can change databases. You can do so much. It's pretty mind-bending. And you could do all of that with just a few clicks. It saves you a lot of time and effort compared to writing the code by hand, if you remember those days. Because yes, in those days, we had to write all of our code in hand, and well, Scriptcase makes it a lot easier. Okay, so one of those CRUD applications is a form. So let me start by creating a form. And I can choose here from the table section here, one of the tables that was created by Scriptcase for me. And I can see here I have categories, customers, employees, order details, orders, products, shippers, suppliers, sales, and an SQLite sequence. Now, all of these tables from sales and upwards are all the tables that have been created for this project by Scriptcase. And of course, I could even go and edit that now if I wanted to. Up here with database, and then we have here the database builder, the ER diagram, as well as the SQL builder. These are your database tools. For instance, if I come here to ER diagram, I can view the database. Selecting that again, I can then view a layout of all of the tables. And I can see here that the order details is connected then to the products table, and the categories table here, as well as the suppliers table. And here we have then the customers with the orders, employees, and shippers. Now, all of these tables, they are all related to one another in some shape or form. And I can see that just by checking here the ER diagram. And that is again something that Scriptcase makes very easy for us. Okay, so with that visual view of our data, we can have an idea of what type of applications we want to create, or of course, even expand upon those applications that we have already created. So now, if I just go ahead and let me choose here employees, for instance, and if I go create. Now, you may have noticed some of the options there on the form creation, but we're going to have a look at them now during the form, well, once the form has generated here. Okay, and with the form generated, we can see then straight away Scriptcase opens the form for us. Again, it makes things as simple as possible for us, and it then shows us all of the fields and data that we have available to us within this database table. Now here, I can then return back to the form, and just straight on this first page here, I have the form orientation. And here I can choose what type of form I want this to actually be. If I want it to be a single record, multiple records, editable grid, or even an editable grid view. And there is a difference between each of those. And of course, I'll let you go and install Scriptcase or load up Scriptcase yourself and start up the form application and check each one of those out. Do it yourself. And then of course, you will see what those types of forms look like. Or, of course, you can check out one of the other many videos that we have created where we are generating and creating forms. Now, one of the many other elements of Scriptcase that makes Scriptcase easy is the ability to make all of those changes and adjustments with a click. For instance, here in the left-hand menu, we have all of these what seemingly be overwhelming maybe options. And we can actually adjust this and reduce that a little bit so that maybe the form settings can be overwhelming in one go. And then when you realize that you have more containers or options here to view more information, maybe you want to reduce that. And that will, of course, make it a little easier on you. Otherwise, dive right in and check out each of these options. Take your time and you will find that everything you need, or should I say, everything has been created for you to be as simple as possible. And of course, functional, bug-free, without any issues. And so that you can also go ahead, use your applications as you design them, and of course, as you want them to be. Now, as you continue to advance further within Scriptcase, some of the options here, such as events and Ajax events, the master detail form, many-to-many relationships, as well as some of the options here in application and programming will be those that you will want to look further into, because that is where the true power of Scriptcase really lies. But even there, Scriptcase has made it easy for you. Let me show you. For example, within events, you can control what happens at each stage of your form, the life process, the life of your form. Okay, so as the user opens it, you can have your form perform an action. When the user clicks on the button, when they touch a field, when they hover over a field, when you update the form, after you update the form, when you delete, before you delete, however you like. You have so many options as in how you can control various aspects of data as well as various actions of your form. For instance, I could come here to onValidate, and in the onValidate option, I can hand code. And that may seem scary to many. I didn't start using Scriptcase because I wanted to code in it. I started using Scriptcase because I wanted an easy to use CRUD system that gave me lots of options and allowed me to customize it as much as possible. Now, I know I am a reseller and I have my Scriptcase by Jamie channel, and I have every intention to promote Scriptcase as much as possible. But the underlying factor of everything is I have been a Scriptcase user for 15 years before becoming a reseller. I use this because it is easy to use and allows me to achieve and accomplish projects which I could only dream of by hand. Now within Scriptcase, by learning these events and some of these other features, we can see here on the right hand side, for example, we have here very easy click objects that we can click on, and that inserts code for us. We can learn a great deal from this, as well as from some of the other templates and applications that are available within Scriptcase. So if you wanted to do that, you could very easily, again, simply click a few options here, make a few adjustments. For instance, here on validate, when the user validates this form, I could then say insert into my table customers. And then here I have various fields available. And here, for instance, I could take here the city field. So I will use my curly brackets and say city. I need to capitalize that because the city here is with capital letters. So I need to ensure it is the same. And then this field, I could either delete it, remove it, and only update the single field. I could leave it. And of course, I could replicate it and insert this as many times as I wanted, with some order, of course, like so. And then just like that, I could then go ahead and change all of these fields that I want to store somewhere else. So just like that, we are also applying a business decision within this form, which is very easy to achieve. Now, say for instance, after that has happened, I want to display an error message. I want to send an email. I want to hide or show a field. And in those cases, you may rather use some of the Ajax events here, for instance. So when the user performs an action on a field, let's go there, for instance, Ajax event, new Ajax event, and I will save that for now. I can come here, choose a specific field on which I want to load an event. So again, here, if I choose the city field, and I say when that field has changed, or when a user clicks on this field, when it has blurred, or when the field becomes on focus or into focus. So if I choose on change, for instance, the field changes, I will create an event. And just like that here within this event, I could then start to insert this data into another table, store it somewhere else, delete another entry, check for an existing record, display an error message, show or hide a field. I have many options here to choose from, but these examples are not the only simple options you have available. The macros is again where a lot of the power of Scriptcase lies, because instead of writing 20 to 30 lines of code, you could use here scBegin trans, and just like that, that will begin a transaction to your database. You could, for instance, commit a transaction. So after inserting, as we had started to on the onValidate event, I could come here and then finish that transaction. In fact, this would want to be over on the onValidate, not here, okay? Or even on a later event, ideally. So onValidate success. Otherwise, we can also choose to use other macros that are available here. We can change the label. We could change global variables. We can send SMS messages. We can change the language or the theme that the platform is actually visible in. Scriptcase is fully dynamic, and again, it makes it all simple for us to use. We just have to know where to look and how to apply some of those options. And again, Scriptcase makes it easy for us, because if I come up here, for instance, to help, Scriptcase will open the Scriptcase manual, and I can read the manual from here. And some of you may think, okay, manuals, who wants to read manuals? Nobody wants to read manuals. But reality is a good idea to read the manual, especially today with many changes that have been applied. Many things are easier to use. And of course, within the manual, you can download it as a PDF or read it online. The choice is yours. In fact, this one is the local version. So you may have seen within an update video that I did that here, the manual was then locally also updated, and then you will see that you always have then the latest manual available for your version of Scriptcase. So any macros that work within your Scriptcase environment will be listed here, and you can use and abuse all of these pretty much. And if not, Scriptcase again, it will let you know, because here you have the macro scope available for each available macro. And they will tell you this macro can only be used within a calendar application or a form application. And you also have here the events where this macro will work on after update and on after update. Now, some macros you can try in other areas. It doesn't guarantee they will work. If they do, then you are lucky. And if not, then as it says, it's not within the documentation, so it shouldn't really work. But in some cases, you may find that it does. So it's always worth grabbing one of these macros anyway, trying it out within one of these other scopes that is available. Again, we see here each of these available events. We can use these various macros. Okay, so that is very simple to use in Scriptcase, and is definitely the path for you to become a Scriptcase ninja, so to say. Okay, because once you know how to use the events and you are able to master the macros and so forth, you will not have much of a problem at all creating any type of application or platform or portal that you would want to create within Scriptcase. Okay, well, you thought that might be it, but Scriptcase, well, there are so many things that are simple. So I'm going to continue, and I'm going to show you a few more things, because on this form, we are not finished yet. We have so many other things to look at just on this single application. And before I continue, I will highlight the fact that each application within Scriptcase has similarities. So by showing you one application here, the form for instance, you will also understand many of the options that are available within the grid application or the calendar application or even the chart application and so forth. Okay, so here within our fields, each of these fields, we can adjust each of these in pretty much any direction that we want. Because we had not created this database, we may not like this data type. We may not want the last name to be a text field. We may want it to be an integer, so a number, or a decimal, or currency. We may also want it to be a date, or an email address, a HTML editor. We can even apply smiley faces and thumbs up and thumbs down. Image fields, again, simplicity, talking about simplicity, that is it right here. The data types that you can choose for the various field types, this alone is magic in a sense, because you can choose to apply an image to a database or as a file name, that process by hand would generally take you quite a few hours by hand a long time ago. Today, you can just choose a field. So Scriptcase does make this sort of selection for you, and field choice, should I say, a breeze. So choosing any type of field type will change all of the options, or the majority of the options that I have available here. Many of them will remain, such as here some of the display settings, the help settings, but then above this here you have form specific values which will then adjust. So if I change the text, for instance here, say to date and time, and now I scroll down, now I have date and time values available here that I can then change. And then below that, again, you see the styling is still the same and the help settings is also the same. So we can apply those. Again, talking about simplicity, did you know that within Scriptcase you can apply a help system? Not only using these help descriptions here, but you can also link your applications to available help sheets or help applications that you have created. If you want to know more, check over on Scriptcase by Jamie, and there I have just created a video that shows you more about the help case system. And that will show you then how you can create your own help case system, and again, how simple it is, or a breeze even, to apply to your project. Okay, so that's the data types. We've seen quite a few objects and options here which are very easy for us to apply. Now, in many situations, when you are developing your application, you may be hitting a wall and having various errors and so forth. For those reasons, again, Scriptcase has made it easy for you so that you can just switch on debugging, which you can see here. We have here the debug mode. And if I just check that box there and I run the application again, we will see the form actually present us information or data concerning the information or data that it's received or selected. So in this case, we are selecting all of our count tests from employees, and then we are selecting specific employee and displaying that value or the data here within this form. And we can navigate here, and this is a basic CRUD system or part of a basic CRUD system, because there would also be the grid which we have not created yet. And notice as we navigate around, we receive then further information here, and this is all debug information which allows us then to check any errors that we have applied within our own selects or within our own coding that we have added using the macros and so forth. So don't be afraid of using those macros or the events, and then of course switch on debug. Make sure everything is working as it should be working. Okay, so that is enough of the form application. Let's have a look at a few others, because again, Scriptcase makes our life so much easier as developers. And with one of those applications, let's have a look at the search application, which is not an application we generate very often, to be honest, but it is a very powerful application. So again, here I will choose the employees table, and I will just go ahead and click create. If you want to know more about all of these options that I'm skipping over, we create many videos. Do watch any one of those, and for sure you will have me explaining what those are for. So now that we have our search application, let's go ahead and run it. And there we have a fully functional search application. And this itself, again, is not an easy task to achieve, especially by hand. So now we have our application here created this. We can make various changes here. Again, we have events available so that we can make some further adjustments. We have our search criteria, so we can make changes to how the search functions, whether it searches for empty values, equal values, or the options really yours. We have them all here, null and not null as well. We also have advanced search options. Okay, so you do want to check these options here out, and here you can then move the fields around a little easier. You can then set the fields that are required, change the toolbar, as well as set the save search options, which is a really powerful feature. Again, this is something that is very simple to apply within Scriptcase and not something generally that, it takes a lot of time to apply that by hand. So before I continue, one of the important factors of the search application is if I come back here to the home page and open up the form application again, and then come down here, let me close here the form settings, and then notice here we have search. And if I open that up, we also then have full search capabilities built into the form as well as the grid applications. So again here, simple to apply, and we can make further adjustments. So we don't really need to create the search application, which is why we generally don't use it very often, because generally when you want to use it, it would be for a dedicated search possibly, or a really complex search that you do not have available within the form or the grid applications when you create them. Okay, so the search application has many options as well. Again, the application programming areas are very similar to that of the form, and you'll notice some similarities here. Again, the search application is quite a basic form, and if I come and create a new application, for instance, and create here a blank application, this is one of my favorite ones because it may seem like you cannot do everything in Scriptcase. And that's where the misconception really is, because by using Scriptcase, you not only have a secure, stable, fully functional framework, but then using a blank application, for instance, you can create your own front-end applications. So here, for instance, I have just a basic HTML page, and if I run this in the blank application, that will then show that for us, and there I have a basic header, some cards, and a button at the bottom here, and it's a very basic laid out page. It's very nice, and of course that is something then maybe you would prefer to see this for specific types of information that you have available within your platform. And by using the blank application, you can use again a lot of the other elements that you have available within all of the other applications. So if you are used to the form and the grid application, you are already using the events, good on you. That's very good. Start using the libraries, the internal as well as the external libraries, because that will then allow you to segment and divide your code further, as well as create some of that crazy object-oriented programming that we can really put together within Scriptcase, because we can do that, especially with these blank applications. That works quite nicely. So for instance, I could create here a new PHP method and output that here within my blank, essentially passing on data, collecting or selecting data from the database, whatever it may be. Even then, using the blank application as a form, we can do that also. In such cases, you may want to look, for instance, at the control form instead, all depending on the type of scenario. But now the control form, you have two options here. With the control form, you can, in very easy ways, create the most complex form possible. And at the same time, you can create it looking like this. The only difference is by checking this tiny checkbox here. Once you check that, you have then the option, or in fact you want to then use a custom HTML template. Now, by applying a custom HTML template, you can then create your form as you please. For now, I'm going to go ahead and use the standard control form just so that you get a feel for it, because it is in fact a super powerful application. Okay, so with the control form, it right now has no fields, and if I try to run it, Scriptcase will give me an error message. I have just about all the same features of the form application. I don't have the same functionality because it is not linked to a database table. It does not insert, it does not update, it does not delete. It is right now a blank application, basically. Okay, but not, because now within our control application here, we can add new fields. So here, for instance, I could choose to add 3 new fields and say I want a text field. I then also want a HTML editor. And then I would also like to have, let me have an image file name. In fact, no, let's go with the document file name. And here I'll just give some labels. If I can type today, your doc and your title and your text. Okay, and I'll just go create, because Scriptcase will just apply those as my labels, and I can just come back here once the field has been created and make adjustments to that label. Now, earlier I had mentioned something about languages, and if you do apply different languages, then you may not have your typical text here. You may have something like this. Okay, so like so, you will be having language keys within your application. And again, this is something, again, that Scriptcase makes very easy for you up here within the application languages. Just click that or check one of our previous videos on the languages, or over on Scriptcase by Jamie. I believe I did create a video for that not so long ago. So there you will learn more about languages, and there you can make these simple changes to these fields. Now, in this case, I have created a document field, which is quite a complex field. And at the same time, I will now add an upload area, which is then clickable. I could even add some cloud storage API. I could link this to Dropbox or Google Documents or any other document API that I basically add into Scriptcase. I can increment the file, create a subfolder, add an icon, limit the types of extensions as well as the file size that is uploaded for this data type, or this file type, should I say. Now, if I go ahead and go run, you will notice I have a text field, I have an HTML editor, and I also have a drag and drop box. Now, these are typically very complex fields to deal with in general terms, and just by applying them to a control application with a few clicks is very powerful. Okay, so you may be thinking, well, the form doesn't really do anything, and it doesn't, because it is essentially still a blank application. But Scriptcase does make it easy for you within the events. You can come here to the onValidate success, for instance. Again, edit the event and then use here one of the available macros. So in this case, I could insert a record to the table. I could check if it exists in the first place, or maybe I want to add it somewhere. Well, whatever your choice is, you have the capabilities and the simple options here within Scriptcase so that you can achieve the goals that you need for your project or business platform, whatever it may be, whether it's a business platform or even a very simple website, as I had shown you a few moments ago, because that can still be combined with anything you develop for a backend, for instance. Okay, so we've had a look at the form application, a quick look at the blank as well as the search application, and of course the control application. So let's have a look at another application which we don't generally look at very often. So let's come here and go new application again, and of course, again, simple. Scriptcase provides us many applications, or of quite a few applications, should I say, to choose from. And some of these are so powerful they can be used in multiple ways, as I hope you have realized from seeing this video so far. Because the form can be used in a few ways, the control application can be used in a few ways. You can believe the grid application can be used in many ways. The choice is really yours. You just have to develop and configure it. But before we continue on, let's start by creating here a calendar application. Now, in any case, when I need a calendar application, I also need a table for it. And Scriptcase gives me a simple option here to create a new table. And I can say, yes, just create a new table for me called calendar, and it will apply all of the required fields. I then need to choose that calendar here within the database. And as you see now selecting it, it's not there now. So I need to refresh so that the database is checked again. And then now I will see here the calendar option available here, and I can choose that. And now it is linked to my database tables. I can, of course, have the database tables available already or use this option. Now, if I come here to edit fields, I'll have all of the fields that have been created for the calendar application, and I can go and adjust those and make other changes if I wanted to. I can also adjust the fields for the calendar itself, as well as the theme. I can change the theme for the calendar application. And I can do this individually, in fact, for all applications, okay, or apply a separate theme for some of them. However you please, the choice is really yours. Again, you just have to simply create it. Okay, so now with our calendar application, let's go ahead and click the Create button. And if I go ahead and run it, we have there a fully fledged calendar application. Now we have here the month, week, day, schedule, as well as print options, and we can add our events in here very easily, like however you please, and you can make adjustments to the calendar tables as well as the form here, and improve the calendar however you need. Now, in many cases, the calendar itself will pretty much do for the purposes that it can be used for. And then otherwise here within the calendar application, we can also link this to the Google API so that you can also see your Google Calendar events here within your application that you have created in the Scriptcase environment. And again, all of that is achieved very easily with a few clicks and without great confusion or complications, really. Okay, so before we go, I want to show you one more application. So I'm going to come here to New Application, and then in New Application, I'm going to come and create a PDF report. And well, yes, PDF reports are a real pain to create. So let me come here to, what would we have? We'd have orders and order details. So there's two tables. So in this case, maybe we would want to create a custom select. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. We come here to database. We are going simplistic after all, and we have here the SQL builder. And within the SQL builder, I can choose here the orders table as well as the order details table, confirm that. And now I can combine the two of them together. So here I could even link here the product table, which is probably a good idea, including the product information in here. I can choose to add that by simply choosing the fields that I want to have combined, displayed within this PDF. We can then change the joins, apply conditions, order by, run it, save it, and so forth. Again, we've created many videos on this, so do be sure to check out some of the other great videos that we have on this channel. Now, if I come back here to the PDF report, because reality, I'm okay just with the order details today. In fact, yeah, let's leave it with the order details. I will just go create, because that's what it's about. Simplicity, right? And just creating now the PDF application is probably the simplest PDF generator I have seen so far. And just like that, we have our values added to the PDF into individual PDFs. So we can create, just like that, custom reports. It's really just a case of you simply applying a background to this document, some text into this document, and so forth. And there are a few ways on how you can do that. Let me show you. Again, Very easy. Here in Scriptcase, you have here your PDF report. I scroll down here. At the bottom here, I have the option to apply a background image. I can choose here the image manager and choose an image that is available here, or I can add my own here within the public folder, or within the project folder, or within the user folder. You have quite a few options here available, and you can use these within your own project without any issues. So here, for instance, if I choose this blue background here, I will add that. And if I go run again, you'll see then that the PDF now has a background for the PDF document. And just like that. Okay, so we can apply changes to this again with a click of the mouse, which is one of the great things about Scriptcase. It's really just all click-based. Well, the majority of is click-based, and from there on, by adding your own code and snippets and macros and everything else, you can end up with such a powerful platform. Now, there are many other options available here within the PDF report, and one of those I said was to add your own fields. So if I come here to the layout PDF, we have here the layout option, and I can click here the add option, and that will add here a new cell. I then just need to position it within the X and Y frames, provide a width, indicate the alignment if I like, and then I can specify or attach that to a field that I have within the database. Or I can use one of these special values, such as here the total pages, the current page, the system date, or just a label. And there, for instance, I could give a label data, and that would then come here above all of this. And I go save, for instance, and I could then apply here my X and Y position. So let me go 50, and let's say 100. And let's run that again. And then now within our PDF, we have here our label positioned, and then we just need to position our data next to that. Or of course, you could apply your labels within the image. That is entirely up to you. Now, as simple as it can be, it is, again, up to you how simple it becomes, because your projects can also become very complex. But in general, the majority of aspects of Scriptcase, so development, the planning, the database creation, and even the management of the database and so forth, becomes a lot easier by using the Scriptcase environment. Personally, I still use a few other tools, of course, in combination with that. If you want to know more about those, check over on my own channel, Scriptcase by Jamie. Otherwise, of course, I'm sure that your business or your company will also have their own defined tools that you will need to use. And even in those cases, I get asked all the time, can I use Scriptcase with this or with that? And I have not come across anything so far that I would not be able to use Scriptcase in. Okay, so that is quite important. I would be able to use Scriptcase in WordPress, in Shopify, in any other CMS platform, for a website, for a single page app, for business platforms, you name it, Scriptcase can create it for you, or should I say with you. So that's all for this week. Thank you very much for watching this Scriptcase video. My name is Jamie, and I will see you the next time, of course. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And, of course, follow me over on my own channel, Scriptcase by Jamie. Thanks for watching, and until the next time.